Hi, I'm Allie Lane. I'm the Digital Asset Coordinator for the Collections Department at the Museum of Flight. And I'm here to answer 7 questions about digital archiving. Question number 1. This question comes from Michael Pretorius. Tasked with digitizing and organizing thousands of family photos and memories spanning a century, how to preserve? Best way to name and catalog them? Oh my God, help. Michael, I really feel for you because I became the unofficial family archivist in the first year of the pandemic. And here I am, 4 years later, still trying to sort through everything that keeps popping up. Don't get me wrong, it's very rewarding, but it's something that you're going to have to commit to. So, my first piece of advice is to remember that archiving is iterative. Don't overwhelm yourself with all of these questions about how to organize and catalog. Start by looking at the materials and just seeing what's there. Know that your plan will evolve and let the materials that you're working with kind of tell you how that plan will evolve. Make an inventory of everything that you are working with. I'm going to use my Uncle Carl's collection as an example. That was the very first family collection that I tackled. So Carl's collection came to me in his World War II footlocker. So the first thing that I did was I opened it up, I emptied the footlocker, and I made a list of everything that was in there. Using that inventory, your working document, you're going to prioritize what you have. Obviously, some things right out of the gate are going to be important, the family photos, his military documents. Other things like his financial statements, not going to be so important. It's just enough to slip those into a folder and you're done. So here I have some examples of archival boxes. We've got a little artifact box here, and then this is a document box. You don't have to invest a lot of money into these quality of archival boxes, but at least have something that's sturdy and that could withstand, I don't know, a little bit of water damage if water drips down onto the boxes. Make sure that it can withstand that and keep the items inside dry. And then my last piece of advice is don't be afraid to do some weeding because, like I said, not everything is going to be worth your time or energy or space to store. Collections that come to the museum, we don't do any weeding because they have come to us as a finalized collection and everything is in there for context. But you, as the person who's creating a collection, you have some power to decide what goes in there and what's important. Question 2 from OK Reporter 4600. How would you preserve the entire Wikipedia for 1,000,000 years in such a way that it would be usable to those who found it? The thing about digital preservation is that it's not just set it and forget it. There is absolutely nothing that you can do that's going to 100% guarantee through this one action that something is going to be preserved for 1,000,000 years or 1,000 years or even 100 years or 10 years. Using the example of CDs, we can't guarantee that there are going to be CD players in the future. It's starting to get difficult to find CD players even now. So you want to save it on a file format or on a media device that is hardy, is durable, and that will last for as long as you can foresee as an archivist, knowing that that data is going to have to come off of that item at some point and go on to a new media item. The thing about preservation is that it is always ongoing, and it's driven by the tools that we have at our disposal at the moment. So as a current archivist, we would preserve what we have using the tools we have available, retaining as much of the original item as possible, and then we would pass it to the next group of archivists, and then the cycle would repeat, on and on and on. In terms of preserving Wikipedia, I could give some high-level advice. Make sure you store the data in an open file format, so nothing proprietary. Make sure you retain the structure of the database, and don't save them to those gold archival CDs because they will not last, trust me. Question number 3. This question comes from Solaris. Is there an effort by current archivists to archive digital communications for the use of future generations of historians? Absolutely, yes. It's been a question that's been around since digital communication came on the scene in the mid-20th century. You know, archiving generally came to be in view of paper materials, letters and memos and books. But then digital communications like emails came on the scene, and we were caught kind of flat-footed as archivists about how to deal with this new form of communication and how to preserve it. I think when we say digital communication, we think of email, and there are many, many, many projects out there that are dedicated to archiving different kinds of emails and email servers. And there are many questions that go along with that, like privacy, right to information, confidentiality, copyright, all of that good stuff. So all of that is under discussion by many, many intelligent people, way more intelligent than I am. And they are putting together all sorts of projects to bring email into the next generation. Now, one thing I will say is that there are other forms of digital communication, like message boards and forums and chat rooms. And a lot of those more casual venues are where history took place or is taking place. And the ability to archive those kinds of communications is still very much in its infancy. It's something that we need to work on, but we are definitely working on it. Question 4. This question comes from Control-Alt-Reese. When does preservation become hoarding? I would say that if you're holding on to things that you, as the keeper of the collection, know has little or no value, then you are veering into hoarding territory. Collections get their importance from the value that the people that created those collections put on the items. So you have to ask yourself, is this old pair of shoes that I found in the bottom of my Uncle Carl's Foot Locker really something that's important to the family history, that's going to be important to future generations? Is it worth holding on to? No. So just ask yourself that question. Question number 5. This one comes from Pastor Payne. How, where to store 60 gigabytes of pics and videos from my phone? I feel like Michael Scott wanting to buy a second phone just to store all of my pics. I would really recommend that before you start buying second phones or hard drives or cloud storage, that you really think about your digital photo collection. Do you really want to keep everything? Are you really going to look at everything again? I know that it's tempting in the digital age to just amass a personal database of tens of thousands of pictures. But when you're thinking about it in terms of a collection and what you want to keep, you're probably going to want to pare down. I would recommend that you first go through your phone and make sure that you have selected all of the ones that you want to keep and weeded out all the ones that you don't. And it's also a good idea to apply some tags, metadata, so that you can actually find your pics again when you want them. You should think about offloading your pictures from your phone onto either a computer or a cloud storage account, something that is being backed up, because there is nothing worse than losing all of your pictures in one fell swoop. Question 6. This question comes from Prudent Model 1208. Has working with an object ever made you cry? Yes, that is the nature of working with historical artifacts in particular. For me, we have many, many collections of pilots who were shot down or died in plane crashes. And if that collection includes a correspondence component, letters, it's a real gut punch when you read that last letter before they die and then the announcement of their death. One example of happy tears is when you find something weird or just really memorable. For me, we have this 19th century ledger in the collection. It's one of our oldest items in the collection. And Frederick Atwood, who the ledger belonged to, he was an artist, and he was really enamored with the idea of flight and airships in particular. And he drew just some amazing, fantastic, whimsical airship designs, including one of a fish, which I just absolutely love. And that's on our digital collections website, digitalcollections.museumofflight.org. Check it out. Question 7. This question comes from Melioka. What is the hardest and best aspects of being an archivist? It's kind of the same answer for both, doing right by the collection we're storing and the users that we're serving. Archiving is always ongoing, as is preservation. So our journey is never done with these objects. We are always trying to figure out how to better describe them, how to better understand them, how to make them more accessible to our users, and to answer the questions from our users that come up with regards to these items. And we've got a very diverse demographic of a user base. We've got students of all ages. We have historians, genealogists, journalists, artists, model makers, writers, everything you can possibly imagine. And all of the questions that they send to us really keeps us on our toes. But that's exactly why we got into this field in the first place. We love history, we love the stories that people tell through their artifacts, and we love helping people discover those stories. Thank you for those questions. This was a lot of fun. If you want to ask some more questions about digital archiving, go ahead and shoot them our way. I'm always happy to talk shop.